Test, test. This one's working.
Check, check.
Okay, it's still 6 o'clock, and I am calling the Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020 regular city council meeting to order, and all council are present. Council, thank you for being here. If you would, please stand and join me with the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, everyone. No one? Let's not give up on trying to get these mics to work, okay? We do have a little bit of time. Okay, thank you, everyone. Moving on, item number 4, city employee recognitions and employee introductions. I'll turn it over to Ms. Kane, our city administrator. And we're having an issue with our wireless mics, so while we're working on them, she's going to go ahead and come up to the podium.
Good evening, Council.
You got to turn the mic on, though. There you go.
There we go. It's not my night with mics. Okay. We received a thank you from Mr. Larry Werner, who wanted to express his gratitude to Officer McKenzie for checking on an alarm at his brother's home, and he wanted everyone to know that he truly appreciated it. Then I received a thank you for Marissa Spencer, our city secretary. The thank you note came from Martha Stipp. She wanted to extend her sincere thanks to Marissa for reading the emails submitted by concerned citizens at the August 11th P&Z meeting. She went further to say that we are very fortunate to have such a professional, dedicated person like Marissa working for our city, and to let her know how appreciated she is for going above and beyond her duties at the meeting. A thank you note was also received from the Smotherman family to Mayor Thompson in the city of Garden Ridge, and the family wanted to thank the city of Garden Ridge for the support they gave during their time of loss. The next item I'm going to hand over to City Secretary Spencer.
Thank you. I am beyond excited to introduce our new utility clerk, Michelle Hinojosa. You will stand for us. Mrs. Hinojosa has a rich background in customer service and over 3 years of municipal government experience, both as a utility clerk and a municipal court clerk. And she also holds a level 1 court certification. She's already demonstrated that she's a quick learner, and she is eager about her new journey with the city of Garden Ridge, as we are too.
Welcome, welcome. And normally we'd come up we'd ask you to come up and everybody shake your hand, and clearly we can't do that tonight. But we're excited to have you, and we look forward to working with you, all of us. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, we have 2 employees to recognize for their service years with the city of Garden Ridge. Jill Acha, she's a police clerk. She has 2 years. And Keith Osborne, 4 years.
something to Petey, and please pass on from all of us. Congratulations and thanks for all they do.
Both exceptional people, too.
Go ahead, man.
Okay. The last item under this category is a presentation of the 2020 Essential Workers Plaque from the Randolph Metrocom Rotary Club. The Randolph Metrocom Rotary Club is recognizing the City of Garden Ridge, the mayor, city council, and staff for the essential work the city has done and continues to do for our community during the COVID-19 health emergency. The Rotary Club had the plaque dropped off by one of their representatives, and they asked that a picture be taken of the city representatives with the plaque, and that picture be submitted to them, and they are going to place it on the cover of their guide.
Okay, thank you. So what we're going to do is, council, I'm asking you to stand and stay where you are, and the staff is going to file up here, stay 6 feet in front of us, and they're going to ring around here, and we've already dry run this and dry run the actual photograph itself, so we know this is going to work. And the idea of this being that we can get a picture of all of us, and we're not wearing masks, and they can see our faces, and now the plaque is right here, and I'll hold the plaque up, and you all can see it later on, but it's also obviously up on the board. But so staff, come on up, please. So while they're doing this, the reason we're doing it this way is because it's so frustrating to see people lately with pictures, and they're all wearing masks, and you never know who they are. So that's why we're going to do it this way. No, everybody up here is going to be on. No, she's good. She will be in the picture. All right, everybody's masks off. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, you see it up on the screen. The Randolph Metrocom Rotary kind enough to thank folks throughout the community that are doing what they can to keep the machine turning and make sure that people are taken care of throughout our community. So to the staff, thank you over and over again. We've talked about it recently, and also to council for making sure that we all stay on top of this. So thank you very much. That concludes 4. Do you have anything else, ma'am, on number 4? No, sir. Okay. Moving on to item number 5. Item number 5 is citizens' comments. I was told right before this that we don't have any sign up, and confirmed, still no sign up. Okay, nobody signed up for item number 5. If you came and you want to speak, remember you will have an opportunity to speak at the end. You don't have to have signed up for that one, and that is item number 13. Moving on to item number 6, consent agenda. There are 4 items in the consent agenda for this for this September council meeting, and solicit from council if there's anything you'd like to pull and discuss, or if I get a motion to approve all 4 in the consent agenda.
Could we
Right
pull
side?
D? I'm sorry.
Right side? Left side?
Could we pull D just to get a recommendation from Nancy? I'd like
Sure.
to have it on record.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other things to be pulled? Okay, so I have a motion from place 3 to pull item D, 6D. Can I get a second? Did you second that? No, you gave the motion, so you really can't do both. So how about a second from somebody other than the person that gave the motion? Okay, place 4, and all in favor of pulling item D?
Aye.
Okay. And any opposed? All right. Item D is pulled. So can I get a motion to approve all except for item D?
Move to approve all items on a consent agenda with the exception of item D.
Okay. Can I get a second? Place 5, place 1. All in favor of all the items except for D?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. And now I'll defer to Councilman Lanzi for item 6D, the one that he pulled.
Okay, we are voting on this Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Risk Pool Board of Trustees. Nobody knows anything about these people. I think we're only familiar with one name on the list. I understand that we were suggested that we approve the incumbents. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. The recommendation is to approve the incumbents that are on the ballot. They are currently serving on the board. Some research was done to look at what information could be found about them, and there was nothing that stood out that was of any negative nature or of any concern.
Yeah, let me add to that when we got this, it's a bunch of names. It's people that are already doing this and some people that want to do it. And so I looked up every one of them. And absent anything other than looking up their bios, because some of them are mayors or they're city managers or city commissioners or whatever they are, I mean, it all reads basically, they start reading like they're the same people. So there was nothing, we had no other information on it. So the reason it was recommended, the staff recommendation to council for the incumbents is because we know at least those people have been vetted to the point where they've been on this board. And so we figured that was the safe move with that. That's why it was on there, and that's what we put in the description. Any other questions or comments on this?
Thanks, Nancy.
Can I get a motion to approve item 6D?
Move to approve item 6D.
Place 3 with a motion to approve item 6D. Can I get a second?
Second.
2. Place 2. And any further discussion or questions? Right side, left side? All in favor of approving item 6D? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous. Moving on to item 7, staff reports. Note again, as we've been doing, the last few months, we have continuity of operations as part of the staff report, so each department head can give you some visibility into how their department's going in the face of the health emergency. So that said, turn it over to Ms. Kane for item 7A. Have we, and before, as she's walking up, have we figured out the remote mics yet? Okay.
I just have a couple of things that I wanted to add to my monthly report to council. The first one is that during the month of August, we had a total of 185 views of city council meetings. 53 of those occurred on the August 5th regular meeting. 119 occurred on August 13th, which was the night we conducted the budget public hearing. August 26th, which was last Wednesday, the special meeting we had concerning the tax rate public hearing, there were 13 views. The Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on August 11th, at which they had conducted public hearings on a rezoning, on a variances and special use, there were 250 views. We thought that was quite interesting, the number of views that we have been receiving. I also wanted to kind of give you a little bit of update on the community center bookings. Of course, the community center bookings have been down predominantly because of the health emergency situation. Mainly the usage that is occurring now until the end of this calendar year are bookings by HOA boards, some of the small groups that belong to the Women's Club, things of that nature. Also, the large events, the parties, the receptions, a couple of large community events have been canceled. So things are kind of slow in the community center. Although, early voting that will occur from October 13th through October 30th for the November 3rd election, as well as Election Day, will be conducted in the community center. That is the perfect location for the conducting of this election because of the ability for social distancing, for the voters as well as the election personnel. Also, it's been a little challenging trying to find a community center manager within what we've been living through for the past several months. With no bookings, there would be no salary. So Kim has agreed to stay on with us through April 30th, 2021, and she has agreed that at that time we'll reassess where we are and perhaps be able to move forward with either keeping her or finding a new manager. I also now want to ask Karen Ford to provide you with an update from her department.
Actually, hold on just a second. Since we have to do this moving back and forth, it might be more useful. Is it
This one
working?
works.
It is working.
Yep, yes, sir.
Just the little ones do.
Okay. Well, before you go, questions for the city administrator on the things that she just talked about, so she doesn't have to come back up at the end of this section. Right side, left side. Okay.
Real quick, is Kim Wood not given any kind of an interest in managing the community center?
I've had a number of applicants. Most of them want full-time work, but would be actually no salary being able to be paid to anybody that would apply.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ready?
Go right ahead, Ms. Ford.
Okay, so from the HR side of the house, we have the employees are making their elections for benefits for fiscal '21. Also, if you remember, when we did the budget, we set aside some money both in the general fund and the water to do a salary equalization and step and grade program. We had our first meeting last week for that and are chugging right along. And then from the finance side of the house, it's almost the most exciting time of the year. We've set the audit for the second week of November. And also just a heads up, we are now, since we're in September, we're in the last month of the fiscal year for 20. So it's pretty exciting. We're getting ready to wrap up another year. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. And Ms. Kane, you don't have to get back up. I'll just go ahead and say that she is about to hand it over to Ms. Spencer for the other part of her Section 7A report. Go ahead, Ms. Spencer.
Thank you. City Hall lobby is still operating under our posted in-person hours of 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Citizens continue to have the option to contact City Hall to make an in-person appointment, including when they're standing outside the front doors. We've accommodated everyone. We continue to run full operations, just in a safe manner and at a safe distance. Additionally, this past month, we were able to put our efforts to test regarding the ability to seamlessly conduct phone or video conference meetings here in the council chambers. It was successful. Things went smoother than I anticipated, so they went very well, I feel like. So I feel like that is a success and a project that we've been working on for quite some time. I also want to say I'm extremely proud of our staff for their hard work and their conscious safety efforts and their continued positivity through these unprecedented times. It's been truly amazing. That's all I have.
Questions or comments, starting on the left side for either one? Thank you very much. Before we get off of this, the city administrator report, the city administrator provided all of you with a kind of a rack and stack of the tax rates now that our tax rate is been approved by y'all. We've done the public hearing. And I didn't get a chance to talk about this last time, but as we're still in the city administrator report, I just wanted to point this out. This is a useful tool when somebody talks to you about taxes in the city. You can see where we sit. All of the cities above us, we're fourth from the bottom. I don't know what Chavano Park's doing. I do know Selma, even with what's been going on, they enjoyed double-digit millions of dollars in sales tax that helps quite a bit. And Bulverde has a lot of growth. For many years, if you lived in Garden Ridge decades ago, you know that with all the growth in Garden Ridge for a long time, a lot of the expenses were on the dime of all of that growth, the permitting and the new housing. Bulverde is going through that. In fact, talking to the mayor, they have more new developments in Bulverde than we have developments in Garden Ridge. So that's why they're doing so well there. But I think y'all and our staff, we all should be very proud of where we sit on this tax rate chart. Pretty amazing, actually, when you look at it. You know, most of the cities around here are in the 40s and even up to 50s, and then you see some that are nearly double or more than double what we are. So just wanted to point that out. Okay, any questions or comments on that right side?
Yeah, that says 2019 tax rates. Are those 2019, do you think there'll be any change in 2000?
Yeah, the problem with that is very clearly, and I don't know if you've been doing this, you know, since Comal County was founded, but you probably are aware that Garden Ridge usually does our budget and tax rates kind of we're the leading edge of it. So for us to be able to compare to this year, we can't do that yet because there are still cities that haven't even done it. It's still scheduled to be done.
It still should be pretty favorable.
Yeah, I doubt very seriously that they're gonna, you know, cut their tax rate in half in a year. So, good question, ma'am. Sir.
Bulverde has a subdivision, a new one, that is equal in size right now to the entire city of Garden Ridge.
Yeah.
And and it's gonna be twice the size when they're done with it, and their revenue is gonna be skyrocketing. And they have very little expenses. They don't have a large city like we do to maintain.
Anything else on the left side? Ma'am? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Kane. Next up is 7B, Police Report. Chief.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So you've got all the basic information there, and I'd like to highlight some of the things that are on here. Under our outreach efforts, you'll notice that National Night Out will not be held as normal due to all the COVID issues and so forth. So instead of being able to put that event on, we are going to create an online National Night Out covering about a week. It's going to be a media blast. We're going to start the Friday before National Night Out and start putting tips out and recommendations and things that go along the line of the philosophy of National Night Out. But since we can't all get together, we're going to try to engage everybody that way over a week-long period and get this information out that way. Something to keep them motivated, get the information that we usually put out at National Night Out and get it out through social media. Do it that way. That's the best way we've come up with so far, being able to take care of that. Last month we talked about the alarm permits and the confusion. Those letters that corrected all that issue did go out to everybody that received one of the other letters. So nearly 400 letters were sent out explaining what's going to come up with the new education program for making sure everybody's aware of how to renew their alarms, their permits, no fees for renewals and so forth. That's all been taken care of as well. We touched on it earlier, the Easy Mart issue. We are still working that. I don't know how many of you noticed, but we did do the mayor contacted the media, and we did another blast just 2 days ago to get that information out, renew the interest, because Crime Stoppers was gracious enough to extend the elevated reward, the $10,000 reward, till the end of September. So we wanted to get that information back out there and renew the tips. We're working tips. We have received some tips. Cannot go into detail. All I can say is it's pretty labor intensive to follow up on all these tips that we get, and we will continue until we get the case solved. I am happy to say that we have made another conditional offer of employment to another officer. So we have an officer who is, I'll get him in here hopefully next month. I'm going to try to get both my officers in here next month for you at one time. But he went through his physical, he's good to go, his qualifications. He is a retired DEA agent, comes to us with a lot of years of experience. So he's going to bring a lot to the table for us out here and is really excited to come out here. So I'll get him in front of you next month. If you remember, court in August was canceled. We will have court in September. Court in September may or may not be a little different. We have to offer remote video conferencing type for court, municipal court. We have those procedures in place. The judge has already approved all that. He's got certain information. We have sent out notifications as of this morning, we had 70 people on the docket. And they have been contacted already and told that if they wish, they can file to do this remotely via internet. So far, nobody has done that. We started contacting them weeks ago. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get through this court date in the same process that we've been doing for the last couple of months. And as a reminder, that means on court day at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we do not want anybody in this building unless they're here for court. We have to start scanning everybody, questioning everybody, documenting everybody. So if you don't need to be here, do not be here after 4 o'clock on court day, on Thursday. We don't want you here. We don't want to chase you around and have to take your temperature and ask you a bunch of questions and document all that stuff. But those procedures will still be in place for this court date. Hopefully we'll be able to handle it all that way. Other than that, I believe that's everything that I have to update the council.
Test.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chief. Thanks for all that, great update, and start on the right side, any questions or comments for the Chief?
Yes, sir. Under your normal section, because we do list on the agenda the code compliance each month, I don't have answers right now, but and I know it has to do with shortage of personnel, but I really think we need to think big and hard and somehow on code compliance, particularly for those of us who don't live in an HOA. I have a list of probably 24 concerns about code compliance, not all code compliance, but just sort of overview of the city, and some are specifically code compliance issues. And I don't know where to go from here. I mean, I know
We can talk. Now, you realize some of those have been suspended under the declaration.
I do realize that.
Okay.
I do. So, I mean, but we can I would like to consider getting them in place for future, when this goes away,
Yes, ma'am?
and so on and so on. But, because to me, it's just becoming a nuisance to me, and maybe I'm obsessing about it, but possibly am obsessing about it. But,
We can talk.
And I wanted to approach you the other day, but I think it was the time or the place. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilwoman Bauer, have you brought any of that to the city administrator?
Some, but she is anxiously awaiting an email with some items and so on. Yes, we've discussed it, let's put it that way, of items and so on, but
Okay,
generally.
we'll talk about it, and
Yes.
and I haven't seen anything. So
No, I know you haven't,
and-
nor has she.
Okay.
Nor has she.
Because we'll be more than happy. I mean, frankly, we get it all the time from citizens, and then we go after it. We find out what's going on, and we address it. And so we will be very happy to do the same thing for a council person that has any issues. So.
Well,
let me
I'm
know.
doing this as a citizen as well. I mean, certainly not just as a council person.
Well, I get that, but
Right.
you're a council person all the time, whether you like it or not. So
I'm a citizen
so-
all the time, too.
But, so please let us know so we can do something about it.
I won't.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Chief, also thank you for the emphasis that you've put with your patrols of keeping folks safe in the neighborhood. A lot of people doing a lot of walking around. My neighborhood in the morning is it's pretty amazing how many people are walking. Walking dogs are just walking around themselves, and I know that you've put you and your department put some emphasis on looking for people
Looking
to
for
make
them.
sure that we stay safe. So thank you very much for
You're welcome.
Next up is item 7C, Public Works.
Testing.
It works.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Currently, Animal Services is taking care of 3 dogs, a female shepherd named Astrid, a Mastiff mix named Bentley, and a Husky named Shiloh. They haven't been to the vet yet to be taken care of or fixed yet, so they'll be a little bit while before they're ready for adoption, but it shouldn't be too much longer. Animal Services also trapped 1 female hog in Trophy Oak subdivision this month. For August, Public Works Department finished up stump grinding in Paul Davis Park and installed some light timers in the bathrooms, installed some wood posts around the butterfly meadow, installed a dog waste receptacle at Park Lane Park, and started defining the trails at Paul Davis Park with guidance from the Parks Commission. For continuity of operations, the Public Works Department continues its efforts to keep city staff and residents safe by making sure all surfaces are being cleaned several times a day inside facilities and on park playgrounds. Our employees continue to practice social distancing and wearing the proper personal protection equipment when we have to be in close contact with others.
Well done, and obviously been really busy. And you're going to have a couple other things to share with us later on as they unfold in the agenda. So starting over on the left side, questions or comments for Public Works?
Yes, thank you. Much like what I suggested to Chief Ephart, I also have some ideas. Or suggestions, if you will, as both a council person and a citizen, both of which I am full-time, for items and small projects around the city, not unlike what we did in anticipation of the 4th of July, that maybe we could carry that forward in other areas of the city. Once again, for those of us who don't live in an HOA, and I certainly understand that HOAs don't have a lock on all the rules. There are a lot of violations in the HOAs as well. But for those of us who are not in an HOA and just on for the public passing through, regardless of where they live. So there's just, once again, I've not given this information to Mr. Simons or anything like that. There's just ideas. I guess I'm home too much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sir? Sir? Ma'am? Sir? Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Next up is item number 7D, water. Mr. Parsons, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So this month, we used a lot more Trinity water than we did Edwards. We were looking into seeing what our Trinity wells could produce. There's a couple things I'd just like to highlight in the report. For leak adjustments, we had 15 this last month. We're suspecting to have about the same for the month of September. We're also looking into the well number 9 repair. We've been getting that underway, and we're hoping to have that done in a couple weeks to have that finally complete. There's also some other projects that we've been working on, which is the AMI bids and the wastewater project bids, which will come up later. And also, finally, with COVID, our staff is optimistic, especially seeing the number of cases going down. So we're very optimistic, and we're also doing our social distancing, and we're not taking anything for granted. So with that, I can answer any questions.
Thanks, sir. Starting right side, questions, comments for Water Department? Yeah, you're going to see a lot tonight that concerns the Water Department, that the Water Department's been very involved in, but other people are going to be bringing some of these projects to you. But so his quiet nature of his report absolutely does not reflect how busy he's been in the last month. So thank you very much, Ms. Parsons. Next up is item 7E, library.
Good evening. I just had a couple of things.
And I should, for the record, Linda could not be here, so Ms. Bippert has taken over. And so welcome. We're glad you could be here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. We are starting next week. Our library will be open until 5 o'clock. We also have the children's programs will be starting up again next week. We also have some more of our adult programs will be starting again next week with like our naughty, the knitters will be coming back. And some of our Lego activities and our coding and things like that will be starting again next week as well. We have some special programs that will be starting on September 11th. Our special preschool story time about community helpers. One of our friendly Garden Ridge police officers will be coming to visit and read a story to our preschool school kiddos. Also, we're going to be starting to talk about trunk or treat. We're looking into finding some participants for that and seeing how we might be able to put that together, and doing that with being able to follow the CDC guidelines and safety protocols, and doing everything we can to put that fun and as safe as possible.
Thank you, ma'am. Starting left side, comments or questions for the library? Ma'am, sir. Thank you very much, and thank you for holding down the fort. And tell Linda we're thinking of her, for sure.
I will, thank you.
Before we move on, the process that we all and staff went through over the last few months, to put together a budget, put together the tax rate, and make it all work. And you saw on the chart how we're doing relative to others. Just want to make sure that we all are aware of how much work our staff put into making all that happen. We are in the middle of a public health emergency, and while we're in the middle of a public health emergency, we have staff that have not only taken care of business, but upped their game. I can tell you, you can look at each individual department, and we can talk about the things that they've done in the last 4 to 6 months that have increased their effectiveness, their productivity, their facilities, their personnel, all kinds of things. And this isn't hollow talk. It's fact. Our departments are stronger than they've ever been, and it's because of the people that are out there that are leaders of our departments. And I ask council to sometime just kind of communicate with them. Not here tonight. Well, you can tonight too, but and just check in on them and see how they're doing, and let them know you're watching, because I know you are. And a lot of programs and projects that have come to fruition and are coming to fruition literally in the next few weeks as well. And again, manifestation of that is how solid our financial status is in this city, and it's because of their leadership. So wrapping up item number 7 with that. Any comments or questions before we move on to item 8 from council on the right side? Left side? Okay. Moving on to item number 8, city engineer.
Start our report. Work on 2252 continues with TxDOT. We're getting, they've completed their field information and got that to us, and look to have a more extensive report at the next meeting with moving forward with firmer schedules for their work and our work as it relates to that. But we're continuing to work through their roadway plans and develop additional detail about potential conflicts for that. So any questions on 2252?
Council, left side, questions, comments on what's going on with 2252, coordination with TxDOT, and any conflicts and how we're working to resolve them, starting left side.
Excuse me, yes, I realize that timing, with COVID and so on, But do you have any idea if they anticipate another public, if you will, reveal like they did at Judson a couple times?
I'm not aware of any. They're expecting to have 90% plans later this fall, December timeframe. And there may be something before they would actually have a bid sometime later next year. A lot of it depends on their funding, and they're trying to get that sorted out. But I have not heard of any plans for a plan review.
Okay, because I feel sure that the citizens would all like to be aware of it whenever, as soon as we know,
Okay.
of anything.
I will.
Thank you.
We saw a flurry of activity a month or so ago from, it appeared to be from TxDOT on 2252. Do they give you any idea when they might be breaking ground and start ripping up the road?
It won't be.
Kay was trying to.
Yeah, the actual construction is not scheduled for late 2021.
Really? Okay. Thank you.
Much of the activity has been survey-related, and what they've been doing for utilities such as ourselves are identifying where we have potential conflicts and locating underground locations and tying in the survey work with their field survey so everybody's on the same page, same elevation as we're working through their underground utilities drainage that are proposed.
Thank you.
Yeah, so some of that work could have been potholing that they were doing, and I saw some utilities out there, and maybe they are anticipating some of those conflicts and working on some of them already.
Yes, they're doing design surveys for their own utilities and getting their construction going, so.
And council, remember that TxDOT did something that was a departure from the original plan. They took the whole project, which was all the bridges and everything down at the creek and the railroad tracks, and all the road up to 3009, and they cut it into two projects. The first project on their schedule now are the bridges and all the stuff that's down Cibolo Creek and Railroad Way. So the way I tell people is when you start seeing work down there, you know, sometime to follow is when they're gonna. Now it's TxDOT, they could change, but the word out of their mouth to my ears was that it's split now, and the first thing that's gonna be done is the work down at the creek and the railroad tracks. Have you heard anything different than that?
No, you're correct, sir.
So that kind of is a good signal that, you know, okay, ours is coming up soon when we start to see that work down there. Anything else over here? Yeah. Go ahead.
Next report are this is 2252, the Force Main project. We took bids on August 21st, 2020. We had two bids. We had a number of contractors. We had 8 general contractors that were holding plans, but we only received 2 bids. And the low bid was submitted by Chromex Construction Company. I have 2 representatives from Chromex here tonight to represent their firm or answer any questions the council may have. So the low bid was submitted was $699,903. The next bid was some $125,000 higher. We're familiar with Chromex from previous work, and we would recommend that the city look to award the project to Chromex Construction Company. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, you see the bids up there, and Chromex having the competitive bid there. Another thing is that the Chromex representatives are here. They don't necessarily have a presentation or anything, but if there's any questions that you all have, that's why we asked them to be here to represent and to be able to do this. If you have any questions for the engineer or for Chromex, now would be a good time to do it. And also for those keeping track, as we put this into the budget, this is under the number that we had in the budget. So we're in good stead right now when it comes to the plan. And I say the budget, it wasn't literally in the budget. It was a budgeted item that I showed you how we were gonna budget for it. And you saw the slide. On 2 different occasions, you saw that slide. So starting on the right side, questions for the engineer or anybody? Ma'am? Sir? Ma'am? Okay, so if you would like to have the city take action on this contract, I need a motion. And what I would ask you to do is move not to award the contract, but to authorize the city administrator to negotiate the contract with the winning bidder. So still putting the dotting the i's and crossing the t's with the city administrator and obviously our attorney. So if you would like to do that, now would be the time for that motion. Can I get a motion?
I move to authorize the city administrator to negotiate the contract with COMEX.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I have a motion from place 3 to authorize city administrator to negotiate the contract with COMEX. Could I get a second? Get a second from place 2. Any further discussion or questions? Left side? Right side? All in favor of authorizing the city administrator to negotiate the contract on the force main, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is unanimous. And back to you for 8B2.
Yes, sir. On the 21st, we took bids for a second project, and this was the grinder pump equipment and an on-call service for wastewater maintenance of the system. As you recall, each of the proposed system is a grinder pressure sewer system. So each customer will have a grinder pump on their property to pump the sewage through the system to the endpoints. We received one bid. We had 6 pump vendors that were holding plans, but the one bid was submitted by HydroSource Services. Their equipment they represent is Environment One, their brand of pumps and equipment. We've looked at the bids. This is a services contract, a 3-year period, where they will hold their prices for the grinder pumps. As we get customers in, we'll evaluate the size of the pumps that are needed. As you'll see on the bid tabs, they bid a single pump, a duplex pump, 2 pumps, and a quad pump for a large commercial installation that would have multiple customers. And we've got those bids. And we also evaluated on-call services where there would be available for maintenance and maintenance of the grinder pumps and maintenance of the entire wastewater system, basically an emergency call system to allow the city to scale up to operation of the entire system. So the low base bid, again, $86,122.50. And we've worked with this company before. They have an excellent reputation. They serve a lot of large municipalities and water districts throughout Texas. And we would recommend the city authorize award to HydroSource, and we'll begin contract negotiations. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, sir. Again, with this one, it's to authorize, if you would, please authorize the city administrator to negotiate the contract with HydroSource. And Mr. Lackey talked about the equipment. The equipment is the very equipment that you received a briefing on back, gosh, a year and a half ago. That is the equipment that you saw. So we're familiar with it, and actually you've seen it. One bid from somebody that has a track record, and particularly up north of here with some high-profile customers, some high-profile communities as well. So they have a pretty decent reputation from what we've been able to gather. So again, if I could get first of all, questions or comments starting on the right side for this? Okay. All right.
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Go right ahead.
You've answered one of my questions. You have worked with them before. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I believe in your original packet material to us, you sent out, was it 15 requests for bid, or was that on another?
That was on another project. We had 6 pump vendors that we got plans to that install service this kind of equipment, but we received only one bid.
Okay, just for information's sake, so you sent out 6 bid packages, only one responded, or 5 just said thanks but no thanks, or just?
Only one responded.
Period?
Yes,
One
ma'am.
way or the other?
Yes.
Okay. Have you had that experience before with those other companies?
Yes, typically they're busy, or the equipment, the specification was fairly stringent. This type of a system, there's a wide range in service capabilities from a pump you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's versus this type of equipment, which is meant for a long service life, has a high warranty, a long warranty, and it's meant for buried service in a municipal application as opposed to a residential application. So, yeah, the specifications were quite strict, but other vendors could have bid, but there were none received.
Okay, thank you.
Great question. And keep in mind that this is not just equipment, but service, because we want to make sure that when we start this out, that we're not scrambling to try to figure out how the water company is going to install grinder pumps and service grinder pumps and be here at all hours of the night if there's an issue and that. And you actually see that in the bid where it says after hours and holiday rates and all this other stuff. So, and to your question and Mr. Lackey's point, I mean, we were very specific about not only the demands of the system, but the demands of the service. And so some people may have been able to give the equipment, but may not have been able to guarantee that they could do the kind of service that we wanted to be able to guarantee to potential customers as they start to come online. So we demanded a lot in essence. So.
Ms. Bauer, I would point out one more thing is we had estimated a cost of about $10,000 to install for a simplex pump, a single pump on a typical property. And so the bids you see up there, their low bid for an install system was $8,125. And that's an install, that's the pump, the container installed in the property, in the ground, rock, and 100 foot of pipeline out to the road to connect to the right-of-way to connect to the line. So we were estimating about $10,000. I think the city got good pricing, good value for going out to bids. So.
Sorry, again, you addressed the rock. I mean, they're so familiar with rock that
Yes.
no contingencies for, oops, we hit a rock.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that said, again, looking for a motion to authorize city administrator to negotiate the contract with HydroSource.
I move to authorize the city administrator to negotiate the contract with HydroSource.
I got a motion from place 2. Can I get a second?
I second the motion.
Place 5 with a second. Any further discussion or questions, right side? Left side? All in favor of authorizing the city administrator to negotiate the contract with HydroSource on the grinder pump equipment installation and service agreement? Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous. Moving on to item 8B3. Back to you, sir.
The last item that for wastewater that was bid on Friday the 21st was for bulk hauling of wastewater and for that hauling and the disposal at the Cibolo Creek Municipal Authority plant. We had 15 companies that do this kind of work that were holding plans. Again, we received no bids. We were disappointed, but the bids were set up as a normal construction bid for a municipality with bonding, various guarantees in place. We had quite a bit of interest. We had at least 2 vendors were at the pre-construction conference we had to answer questions for the pump line, the wastewater line installation. It wasn't scheduled for them, but they were here to ask questions and learn more about the system. Again, this is a services contract where they were asked to hold prices for a 3-year period and be on call for the city as we need the services. We've talked to the vendors. They understand there's still a lot of interest out there. So our recommendation tonight, there's no bid to receive, but authorize us to go out, repackage the bid, and we'll go out and re-advertise and bring you back bids at a later date here.
Okay, thank you. And so add to this that consider what we're asking them to do and the companies that do it and how sophisticated or unsophisticated the company may be, creates a situation that they may not have been prepared to be able to go through the rigor that we put into our bid packages. And so that's some of the stuff that our engineers are looking at to see where we can kind of help a little bit, because we are still convinced that we will get more than single interest in this, but we set the bar pretty high. Nothing wrong with that. We don't be, as you are aware in the project, we're not in a hurry. This doesn't need to happen within the next couple of months, so we have time to make this work. So the recommendation is to defer this, let us rework this, and then redo the bid packages to be able to get them out there and redo this part of the process. So no worries that it isn't done right now, but just want to make sure that that you are good with this action. So this is a motion to accept the recommendation to work on this and to reissue. So questions starting on the left side for this.
Yes, oddly enough, I have another question.
Yeah.
And I apologize, it may just be the wording, but when you say we're prepared to simplify the bid proposal, it kind of worries me. We're not dumbing it down.
No, we're not dumbing it down, but again, it was set up as a normal bid for construction-type services.
Right.
One of the issues was bonding the project. There were provisions that they could, instead of each of the construction bids, they provide a 5% bid bond. Most pump haulers don't have bonding in place. So there was a provision they could provide a cashier's check for 5% of the bid to allow as a guarantee that they will enter into a contract with the city. Well, that caused some problems because they're not normally used to seeing that. They didn't understand we have a contract in place for disposal. They have their own disposal operations, et cetera. So again, to do a better job of clarifying the terms of the agreement, and so we can get reasonable bids for the city that we can enforce and regulate, because this, again, was a long-term contract, a 3-year period with a period for renewal to allow us to fix costs and budget for those services. So we're not anticipating to reduce the quality of service that the city would be
No,
getting.
I'm just picking at the word. Do you anticipate sending it out to the same 15, less some, or additional
I did
companies?
15 plus more.
Plus one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the left side? Right side? Okay, so need a motion to authorize the city administrator and the city engineer to rework this to reissue it. Anyone?
I move to allow both the city engineer and our city administrator to delay the delay. Does that make sense? And rework the delay. Yeah, rework the contract,
The pump and haul.
pump and haul.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So I get a motion from place 3 to reissue the solicitation for the pump and haul. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Place 4 with a second. Any further discussion, questions, right side? Left side? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous.
Thank you
Thank you very much, Mr. Lack. Thank you for all your work. Moving on, item number 9, City Commission Committee Reports, Recommendations, Possible Actions. First up is 9A, Planning and Zoning. As Dr. Miller, the Chair of Planning and Zoning, makes his way up, I'll tell you, they had one meeting, and they've been very busy, and got a lot going on in planning and zoning. So as soon as the mic is clean.
Pat's not that dirty.
Thank you.
Sir, the floor is yours.
Evening, council. As the mayor said, we had a robust commission meeting in August. We anticipated being a robust meeting. It was well attended, and apparently it was well viewed in our news. Well, the first time it really been streamed and used that much. It all basically was, the interest was about the possible development of garden homes and tract of land at 2252 and 3009. After listening for the first few minutes or so, it became clear to me. And then I went back over the streaming video to make sure I didn't miss anything or heard everything right. but there was an undercurrent of basically three different problems that the citizens seem to have with the garden homes as Mr. Overman presented them to the city. The first one, I don't think he can do anything about. And by that I mean is there's an undercurrent of distrust of the administration of the city, okay? And every year it seems like, going back several years, it seems like every year in August, September timeframe, we come up with some brouhaha to get the citizens worked up. We had the deer thing, we've had the water thing last year, taxes, because the budget comes in about the same time every year. And this year it was the garden homes. So some of us expected. The distrust is the same subset of citizens that don't really want a whole lot of change in Garden Ridge. And they're more vocal than the rest of the city that does want some change, however we design it one way or the other. There were in fact 14 variances, and that set people, got everybody's attention, because in the past it's been onesies and twosies. And every time you see 14, you say, we're rewriting everything. So there's an element of distrust because there were just so many variances that were asked for at one time. The second thing I picked up from the dais was they felt there was a rush. It seemed like it was a big rush, a turnover. The turnover between the public hearings was only 2 days, and the public was used to having a month in between the planning and zoning considering anything and then going to city council for approval. And they thought the two-day turnover was kind of quick, and that in turn contributed to, number one, trust. They said something's going on. What's going on behind the scenes, and we got to get this done in two days. We can't get more time to digest it and see what's going on. But the big thing was density. The property density bothered the citizens more than anything else. We heard a lot of questions about the garage, one garage versus two garages, the streets, how wide the streets were, the setbacks, ingress, egress, all kinds of questions about the density. That's what it all came down to. And as written right now, the project couldn't be done. Right now, the ordinance is for 3/4 acre lots, and he's talking about 65 to 70 homes on 15 acres. No matter how you do the math, it's not going to work. Even in the new ordinance that we've been working on, and we're close with that, even in the new ordinance, we came down to and looked at 10,000 square feet, which is about a 1/4 acre, is as far as that we felt comfortable doing it. So we presented that stuff, and Mr. Overman had a chance to hear the objections of the citizens, and quite honestly, the objections of the commission itself. I can't say we were evenly divided, but it wasn't a slam dunk either way. It was, we had a lot of different opinions about things, even on the commission. And he chose to withdraw his submission or table his submission at this time, and go back and rethink some things. Hopefully he'll see that there is possibly a way for him to resubmit and come at it in a way that the citizens of Garden Ridge and the commission will more favorably look at the submission of his project. I personally thought it was a well laid out project. The density didn't bother me, but I'm a city boy. I come from, buildings 14 stories high with, 20 families on the floor. I'm used to the density, didn't bother me. And heard a lot about, that's not why they moved to Garden Ridge. And I didn't move here for that either. But I know some things are going to change. So we'll see where Mr. Overman decides to go with that. I thought it was a very good commission meeting, very robust discussion all the way around. Everybody was well behaved. Police presence wasn't necessary. I think everybody was, pretty civil about everything. And I don't know where Mr. Overman chose or chooses to go with that, but he has a good idea of what he has to present to the city and to the commission before he asks again. All of the 14 variances were pretty much lumped together. If you didn't pass one, you couldn't pass any of them because they all were related to garden homes. And if you were against one of them, you were pretty much against 4 of them. So, all 14 of them. So you couldn't go forward. The special use permit kind of flowed from the variances, and since he tabled the variances, there was no sense in hearing the special use permit. Hopefully it'll come back to us. Other things discussed at the meeting, we discussed where we were with the rewrited ordinance. We are very, very, very close. I have some trepidation because it is in fact September, and last September we were just about this close, and the legislature met and pulled the rug out from underneath us. So I want to try to get it done. The strategic committee, subcommittee of the Planning and Zoning Commission, is supposed to be getting together with 2 representatives from City Council and 2 representatives from Planning and Zoning, and figure out what's the best way to present it to City Council, and then from there to the citizens, to be truthful with you. That's about all we discussed. There were some other little minor things discussed at the commission meeting, but nothing of import. Questions?
Dr. Miller, thank you. Questions on the right side?
Yes, sir. As you know, I was in attendance, and what you said is completely accurate, but I came away with a feeling as well that citizens, there were at least 2, I know for sure, 2 people in the real estate industry that spoke against the whole concept because they felt like it might sound good now, but the location of the property, the homes, if you will, the home sites towards the back, towards the railroad tracks, they just felt like might not be the best for the long haul. So I agree with them. I think that's a potential negative. It might sound good now, but I just think there might be a high turnover, or just have to compromise on the property, and I don't want to see that happen.
And those that point was brought up when Mr. Overman first presented it just to the commission, and he said he was satisfied as a developer that that part was the project, despite those concerns, was still a viable project. Okay, he did not feel that dumbing down. What's the word I'm looking for? Changing the density to what we have now or what we anticipate was going to be viable. You can see that. So he has to get the density reduced quite a bit before he can reach the area we and the citizens expect. Now, whether they can do that and make money, I don't know. The other thing I wondered as a commission member and I heard a little bit about it tonight with the sewers, were we too strict with what we want? Or our specifications, are we setting the bar too high? None of us are developers on the commission, and it was the first time we had real good feedback from a developer, what could go there, and what the density might have to be. And we don't want to compromise too much, but I think maybe we need to relook at it a little bit and say, maybe we've set the bar too high and people can't get there. And there's a subset of people in Garden Ridge, it won't bother them a bit if that stays an empty field till 2050 or 2060. It won't bother them a bit. But I think we've got a good plan going forward with the new rewrite, and I think the ball's in Mr. Overman's court or any other developer that comes behind him and knows that we have some strict ways of looking at things, and that's what we want. And what we want is a compromise. with the citizens, because some of us are more pro-growth than some of the rest of us. We got to compromise and meet somewhere in the middle for God in which to grow and prosper. Simple as that. Anything else?
Yes, well, first of all, I don't, to my knowledge, Mr. Overman has not done any residential properties. I believe this is his first foray into it. I could be wrong. Primarily, he's done, you know, office and professional, many of which are here. Also, he did say, possibly he was being, you know, a little cavalier, but he said when the question of the train tracks and the noise and vibration was brought up, he said he went and sat in his truck and listened to it and it was fine. I don't think that's a sufficient answer.
Nor do I. I will add that my neighbors, I live in Regency Oaks, right across from the proposed development, and another commissioner does as well. And I think there were 4 or maybe 5 of our neighbors that came up. None of them had as much objection as citizens from other parts of the city. So we live right across the street from it, and maybe we're tone deaf because of the blasting of the quarry, who knows? But it did bother, the railroad tracks, it didn't bother us a whole lot, let's put it that way. And my feeling about that was if he builds it and people buy it, if they do their due diligence before they buy the property, they should know what it's like. Maybe they should go out there and sit in their truck for a couple of nights and see what it's like to go with the train going past. The train, I think, will become white noise. That horn, I don't know how that ever could become white noise, although it doesn't go off until they go down the Door Lane. The train, after a while, it's background, it wouldn't bother you so much, but that horn, when you get one of those guys that just wants to lay on it for that crossing, I think that would be a problem. I also think that Mr. Overman, since he's been a successful developer of office properties and the like, he would have taken this foray into residential building without touching base with some of his other colleagues that do, in fact, do residential things. And if too many of them told him, like, no, don't bother with it, you know, it's not a good idea, he'd have backed off. So that's just the way I would do business. I touch base with other people. I don't know if he did or not, but I don't think he's going in there blindly. Let's put it that way. And he has a number in mind and a square footage in mind, and apparently we're too far from it right now, but he may go back and work the numbers. Other questions, please?
To your comment about buyer beware, I remind you there are people who live in Trophy Oaks that don't know they live next to a quarry.
Yeah, there are people that read jokes as well, but I'm sure they know now. And they're going to know more as the quarry builds out towards. I saw it as a positive thing. I said, I know there's not going to be no big housing development over there for the next 50 years because the quarry's there. That's the way I looked at it. And I sat out there and heard some of the blasting. It didn't bother me. Even now, it's white noise unless they hit the upper limits of what they're allowed to do, in which case, you know, say, everybody stops. I mean, it's kind of like when there's a big one, everybody says, did you feel that? You know, but the other ones, I'm sure that they blast a lot more than I feel, let's put it that way. Otherwise, they wouldn't make any money at all either. Councilwoman Bauer, anything else?
Not for this meeting.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Council, I actually didn't intend to talk about this at all, but since we spent so much time on it, let's
sorry.
spend some more time on it.
I'm sorry.
There's a couple of things that I want to point out. We weren't here to debate whether or not we were going to have that development here tonight because it's been pulled. So it was instructive to tell us your impressions, but we do not need to have a debate about it. But I do want to talk about a couple of things that I think are really important. Your comment about people being happy that it's going to be an empty field. In full disclosure, somebody that's in the business went up to the podium and said it is not going to end up being an empty field. It'll end up being retail and industrial, and it'll be a lot less value than if somebody builds some residences there. That's first thing. Second thing is, yeah, the noise, having lived at a railroad track, I can tell you the railroad track, if they're not going by very fast, which they don't there, It's not the railroad track, it's the horn. That's why the people that live over in Arrowwood and over in that portion of Garden Ridge Estates have such a problem because of Door Lane and the blowing of the horn there. There's no horn that blows down by where where this property would be. The other thing that I would tell you that the folks up here have, I would venture to say, have learned is that when we're doing our due diligence and we're conducting meetings and conducting public hearings, we have to be careful that when 8 people say something, that we don't assume that nearly 5,000 people think that. And we have seen that over and over again up here, where we get a group of people that are really loud about it, and Councilwoman Swint will tell you the story of one topic that people were pretty vocal about, and they tried to use that as a voting block, and it didn't work. So I just ask that everybody that has anything to do with this consider opening up the aperture and talking to more people than the about 8 to 10 people that were vocal about this. And by the way, I don't have a bias one way or the other. I don't have any stock in any of this. I do know that I have at least 10 friends over the last 10 years that have left this community because they don't want to live in big houses anymore. But there's another thing that I want to make sure that this is on the record, and this is very important. I don't know if anybody else up here got any grief for it. I know that the Planning and Zoning Commission, some folks there got grief for it, and I personally fielded quite a few calls about why are you entertaining this? And it's happening again with another one that you're about to do. Why is the city entertaining this? The people that don't like the fact that we're entertaining it need to understand that if you own land in this city, you have a legal right to petition the city to do whatever you want to do with it. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. It doesn't mean Planning and Zoning is going to recommend approval, and it doesn't mean the people up here are going to approve it. So the fact that it's being entertained has nothing to do with the opinion of the city on whether or not it should happen. And I can tell you over and over again, that's exactly the way it plays out. It plays out that people start accusing, as you said, the distrust of the city. Well, the city has to entertain those variances and has to entertain that special use permit. We have no choice. And if any of those people that are grousing about it own land, they would be on the other side of that argument. It's really important for people to hear that, because I actually had somebody tell me, why are you even listening to this? We've already done this. Why are we doing it again? And I said, ma'am, we have to. Do you really want your city to make value judgments on people's petitions without bringing it to public hearings and doing it the way we should do it, that we should do it in America, frankly? So I wanted that on record, and feel free to tell people to watch this part of this video if they have problems with the fact that you're about to entertain another variance for a place down on 2252 that right now the city has no position on. And the council may not even know about it, but I can tell you there are already people accusing the city of wanting to do something with it. And it's beyond me why that is even a statement that they make of what they would consider fact. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for being the front line of defense before it gets to the folks up here. I know you got a lot of grief for it. I know you got a lot of hate mail for it. But we and I particularly sincerely appreciate the rigor that you put to it, the upfront and honest brokering of it that you do. So thank you, and please pass that on to your commission the next time you meet.
Thanks for your time.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to add? Start on the right side. Ma'am. Sir. Thank you. Okay. All right. Now for something completely different. We have I've written over it so much. Item 9B, which is Quarry. The Quarry Commission did not meet, but will meet next month. and Chairman Holly is not here tonight, but he let us know he wasn't going to be here. Next one is item 9C, which is the Water Commission. And Chairman Valdez is here, and he's got a lot for us. So Chairman Valdez, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor Thompson and council members. Yes, I do have a lot, 3 recommendations and a lot of material to recover that the commission's been working on. First item for discussion is fire flow service for individuals outside the city's Certificate of Convenience and Necessity, CCN. In your packet is a memo from the Assistant City Secretary to the Water Commission explaining the proposed changes. Adding fire flow service will allow customers outside the city, the CCN, to obtain water in an emergency. The staff has incorporated these changes that we had talked about, the commission had talked about back in July, and they're in the package you have in there now. So in your packet is the marked up version to adding the service agreement, and then the form to fill out. So the Water Commission recommends the City Council to amend Ordinance 54-122019 to include fire flow service for individuals outside the CCN. The Water Commission voted unanimously on this recommendation. Mayor Thompson, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so commission, council, the long and short of this is just to accommodate this specific thing and the fact that, we didn't have anything about individuals outside of our CCN, but we have the agreement and it's all in your package. But I want to make sure that you know that they're still working on the ordinances to include 54. So you're going to see this again, but this has been a long time coming to just make this project happen. So these changes are merely to accommodate that specific project. So that's why you don't have the whole ordinance. That's why we're not addressing the whole ordinance. And very clearly, the Water Commission knows, and you probably do too, that we have some work to do on Ordinance 54 as well. So that's the reason why you're only getting a piece of it. So comments or questions for the Water Commission on this first item, starting over on the right side? Yeah, sir.
How can we have a brief discussion about what this involves and what we're going to vote on? I don't understand.
Okay. Would you like to explain it?
Would you like to turn it over to Mr. Parsons?
Thank you. So what we have is we have a customer that's outside of our CCN who they've put in a water line, and this is just the documentation that they're agreeing with us that we will give them service and they'll abide by the rules that we've set.
Just one customer, Jacob?
Correct. So far, it's only just one. Most of our customers that have fire flow service are inside the city of Garden Ridge.
And/or in our CCN.
Correct.
And if I may add, the issue here is that they are in someone else's CCN, but it's extremely inconvenient for that other community to provide them this access. And so they petitioned us to do it, and they have the plan and everything, and have already installed a lot of this. So that's why we're putting this in our ordinance.
Should we or should we not demand that they become part of our CCN? Just like if they wanted city services, we demand that they annex into the city.
Understand, but correct me if I'm wrong, City Administrator, we can't demand that they become part of our CCN.
We've asked that they become part of our CCN, but the CCN holder is not quite, or does not agree to release at this time.
And who would that be, Nancy?
City of Selma. This property that this refers to, that this agreement would be applicable to, is at the end of the water line on the end of Whisper Oaks. The water line that's being put in right outside of our city limits.
One of the commercial properties that we just
Yes.
ran the water to?
Yes, and all they're going to be receiving is fire flow service. They cannot receive any kind of domestic-type water from our system. We can only serve fire flow.
Okay, why are we going through this now, Nancy, when in fact we knew that's why they wanted the water back there in the first place, was for the higher pressure for the fire hydrant that's needed back there for that commercial development?
We have been working on this for quite some time, for several months. We've gone back and forth concerning this agreement. We've consulted with the city attorney, but this has been in the works for several months.
Our city attorney may need to jump on this too. What's wrong with us demanding they become part of the city, since they have our water and they're asking for more services?
Are you asking being part of the city
Right,
or being part of the CCN?
Get rid of Selma and be part of the city of Garden Ridge.
They are actually in San Antonio's ETJ, so becoming part of our city limits, they would have to be released from San Antonio's ETJ. They have had that conversation with San Antonio and have not been successful at that release.
Yeah, I remember that, okay.
And yeah, San Antonio's kicked the can on that with us for quite a while. This has been going on for not months, but frankly,
couple of years.
Yeah, years. Back and forth with trying to work with San Antonio, trying to work the CCN issue after we tried to work the ETJ, and they're not contiguous anyway. It would be, there's more that's involved than just them. So yeah, it's a complex issue that can be, and this just simplifies it. And again, it's just for fire flow. It's not, we're not providing them water every day. We're providing, literally, as you are well aware by what you just said, access to water for their emergency issues.
Okay, just one thought and then I'll drop it. We're gonna have to start saying no to some of these people. We could go all the way down in Bracken because we have the services and nobody's gonna bring it to them. And at some point we have to say no, or else they annex into the city, period. It's gonna be one or the other. That's my thoughts.
Received.
Anything else over here? Ma'am?
I assume then it would be the responsibility of our water department as well as Bracken Volunteer Fire Department to monitor that hydrant and that flow.
Yes, our water department, as you will note on the agreement,
right?
They are the entity will be responsible for paying us $200 per year. There will be monitoring. We will be reading that meter, watching to make sure that there is no flow of water other than for fire flow.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And aside from as you're referring to the lost opportunity, there's no cost other than all this time. There's no cost to us in this project. That's why they're paying. That's why they have a deposit and all that stuff. Anything else over here? Since this has been so long, any reattacks over here? Okay. So, bottom line here is need a motion to take action on ordinance 54 with the modifications that you have in your package. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve the modifications as presented.
I have a motion from place 5 to make the modifications, ordinance 54. Could I get a second, please?
Second.
Place 1 with a second. Any further discussion? Left side, right side? All in favor of taking action on ordinance 54, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous. Okay. We have 1, 2, 4, and 5 yes. And confirm I have a number 3 no. And 3 is no. Motion passes 4-1. Next up is item number 9C2. Turn it back to you, sir.
Thank you. Next one is a request for water leak adjustment at 8818 Cherokee Path for the billing period of March 23rd to April 23rd this year. In your packet is my report with the details, the leak adjustment request that's discussed at the meeting last week. To summarize, the leak was due to a pool autofill valve that was replaced and actually is out of service now since the cross connection has been removed per water manager's recommendation from the hose spigot. There was a cross connection between the hose spigot and this without a backflow preventer. Anyway, the leak, the water department determined a 75,000 gallon leak due to this malfunction, and the water commission voted 4-1 to recommend the water manager's proposal of credit to $604.35. Turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, sir. Questions, comments for Water Commission on this one, starting on the left side?
No.
Okay, I need a motion to grant this leak adjustment for 8818 Cherokee Path for the amount of $604.35.
Move to approve the leak adjustment for 8818 Cherokee Path for $604.35.
A motion place 2, can I get a second?
Second.
Second from place 4. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor? Any opposed?
Opposed?
I get 1, 2, 3, and 4 yes, and 5 with a no. Okay, motion passes 4-1. Next up is 9C3. Sir, back to you.
Okay, next one is Advanced Metering Infrastructure System, AMI, and Meter Data Management System. We've been talking about this for several months now. I hope you've had a chance to review the information that I provided in your packet concerning this proposal. I try to provide an overview of the project as well as the summary of issues, concerns, and questions the commissioners had asked last week, along with the replies. Commissioners did a great job of drilling the subcommittee with their concerns and questions. Also hope you've had a chance to look at the video. In your packet is also a letter from Tri-Hydro Engineering with the bid evaluation and recommendation. I don't know if I need to go into detail of everything I've provided to you so far. The package, we had 4 bids that are in the Tri-Hydro Engineers and wide variance. We not only looked at the base cost, but also a 20-year life to include, the annual fees. And so based on that, the Water Commission recommends to City Council to authorize the city administrator to go into contract negotiations with Lubin Enterprise / Secure Vision / Camstruck for the advanced metering infrastructure and meter data management system, which to include a customer portal and the installation also of the meters. If I turn it back over to you, Mr. Mayor, for questions, where you want to discuss at this point.
Thanks, sir. So make no mistake about it, this is a big deal. So don't mean to rush you through it, but that's why the Water Commission Chair sent you a pretty comprehensive distillation and summary of the whole thing, the process, the issues, and everything. And then you also have the letter, obviously, from Tri-Hydro with the reasons why the recommendation is for Lubin. And again, an amount that's lower than what we put on that slide that I showed you, how much we were expecting to pay. The lot here, and we have the engineer here if you have any questions, as well as the water manager and the Water Commission. And you heard the water, as the ex-official in the Water Commission, I can tell you they did a great job, spent a lot of time on this, a lot of time both on the process, and we have Commissioner Mueller in the back that put a lot of work into this and to ensure that we also were not only good with the process, the product, with the management, the data management system and the portal, and also the security of all of the above. So amazing work, but that doesn't preclude any questions or any discussion. So starting on the right side, if you have any questions or would like to discuss any of this with any of the people we have in the room. Sir. Ma'am.
Just a quick question. I was curious why Lubin Enterprise scored just a little bit lower on the project schedule portion of the bid.
They, well, for one thing, they actually provided the detail, well, no, let me back up. They all said basically that they could do it in 6 months.
Right, okay.
And that's basically it. That's all we really required them to do. Don't know, it's their availability, I guess, but they all met the 6-month requirement. So we didn't rate them any different than anybody else for that reason.
Okay,
So.
thank you for your work on this. It's great.
Sir?
No, I just wanted to say, Jesse, thank you very much. I understand you all are having very long meetings, and you're covering a lot of ground, but you're
Yes, sir.
doing an excellent job.
Thank you, sir.
Sir?
I love that we're going forward with this, because I think it's a great way to catch leaks earlier in the very near future, so we don't have the issues that we've had in the past. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you. Ma'am?
I mentioned to you before, Jesse, thank you so much for the compilation for us as well. It hardly leaves any room for question. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll echo that. It's funny that such a big project and there's not a lot of questions, and it really is a testament to all of the work that all of y'all put into this. It's if you didn't get a chance to read this, and then you go, wait a minute, they just proposed a almost $700,000 program that's had all these people bid on and all of these facets of this, and nobody had any questions. Well, it's because everybody read this stuff and everybody understands it, and everybody's been talking about this for months. It's not because we take this lightly at all. And we are very fortunate to have the people on the Water Commission and in the Water Department that worked on this. This is a revolutionary change for this city, to have people, no matter where they are in the world, have visibility on the water usage that they're incurring every day. They can be halfway across the world and look at the portal and see how they're doing. And they go, and before we even say anything, if they go, that doesn't look right to me, because we think that somebody's there and they're using the water, and they go, nobody's there, nobody should be using the water. And they could actually call us before it would even flag for us. And then vice versa, we'll have flags if we see there's usage that indicates a leak, the 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week kind of thing. We'll have flags for those kind of things. They can flag, amounts as well. It's a phenomenal, and like I said, revolutionary change for our city. We're going to see it not only in the visibility, not only in the communication, but also with the quality of service, the visibility of service, the fact that our Water Commission and our water company isn't going to spend so much time on leak adjustment analysis like they do, because as you saw in the one that you did today, it's pretty darn comprehensive. They peel everything back before you end up seeing it. So this is phenomenal. So this went quickly, but y'all, all of you, thank you so much for all that you did on this thing. So that said, I need a motion, and it's the same kind of thing as we did with the other ones, to authorize the city administrator to negotiate with Lubin / Kamstrup / whatever else the name is. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve that we authorize the city administrator to go into contract negotiations with Lubin Enterprise / Kamstrup for an advanced metering infrastructure and meter data management system.
I get a motion from place 4. Could I get a second?
I second the motion.
That was a great motion. And place 5 with a second. Any further discussion or questions? Right side. Left side. Go ahead.
Somewhere along the line, and it possibly was to Mr. Valdez, I'm not sure, I talked about or I made a recommendation or a thought, whatever, that when this becomes viable or live or whatever you want to call it, a fact, if there's some way to have a town hall or something like that, something to instruct the public so that they have, because there are going to be obviously a lot of questions for the citizens. And so and I don't know if online is the answer for a lot of people. So if that's feasible.
Yes, and we actually, they've talked about it a lot. He and I have talked about it a lot. Clearly, one of our issues is the public health issue. So the first thing is there's going to be a lot available online, instructional video and pamphlets and stuff. And then as soon as we can start to bring people together, we would love to do that. The people that have worked on this are pretty excited about it, and just hold them back to telling people about it, I think, is a better way to look at it. So couldn't agree more. Yes.
One thing I'll point out is as soon as we get the meters in, everything working, the water company will be able to keep up with all the usage right away. So we'll have information on the leaks. Bringing in the customers on board could take a little time, but we'll get them on. And there may be some people that won't have use the customer portal, they still won't be left out. We'll be we have a new utility clerk that'll be calling them. So,
Yeah, and that's important too, is it's not necessary for an individual to notice this is going on. Our folks are still gonna notice it. It's just that now, and because we all know people that will not look at this portal, and that's okay. But we also know a lot of people that will.
Yeah.
Ma'am?
Yes, possibly, just an idea. As this, if assuming this goes forward and we're able, once the water department begins installation, wonder if we could create a flyer, a simplistic flyer that we could literally hand to each resident to tell them, go to the portal, or give them Jesse's home number, or,
Jacobs.
We'll definitely take a look at that.
And
Yeah, we'll look at that,
Jacob's
yeah.
email.
We'll definitely take a look at that because the way is already being paved because the Water Commission is already working a pamphlet for the water system overall and the education of the water system. So,
Yes,
yeah,
we'll
that's
work
an
on that.
easy segue for them, or it should be.
There may be an app that you can track it on your phone, possibly.
It will be.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
that's the portal.
That'll be a customer portal, it'll be an app, or you can go on the website.
Yeah,
Either
so
way.
you can just
Or you
do
can do it on your
internet,
laptop or your
Or you
computer.
can do the app, whichever way
You want it, yeah, either way.
probably, yeah.
Okay?
Good. All right, so I still got to do a vote. So I got place 4, place 5. Any further discussion? That was good discussion. Go ahead.
I just wanted to comment that this was looked at, I guess, about 5 or 6 years ago,
Yes, sir.
and the cost of doing this was up near $2 million.
Absolutely.
So it's great how inflation has knocked it down to 700,000.
Well, just like anything else,
I
cost of
love it.
televisions, cost of
Well,
computers,
in
everything's,
technology.
technologies,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Same reason.
Yeah, even in my experience as mayor, this is close to half of what it cost when I first became mayor and started asking the questions. This is really exciting that we can do this, and it's so little compared to what it was before. You're absolutely spot on. Anything else? Okay, so motion for place 4, second for place 5. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous. All that work. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate that support.
9C4.
Okay, so next we go on to Water Commission project updates. We've got quite a bit of activity going on different projects. First off, I'll say I'm very proud of the work the commissioners have been doing between meetings, because it's not just going to the meetings, and the meetings have been long, but they've also been working a lot during the in-between, and not just myself, all the members are. The way that works is a subcommittee of 2 commissioners to avoid the walking quorum, along with members of city staff been working on this. So I'll start off with ordinance review. Like Mayor said earlier, we got a lot of work going on, and the 3 ordinances that have been working on. Ordinance 54, 61, and 159 are all in progress. The subcommittee on ordinances has really been looking at overlap between what's in one ordinance, what the other one, be sure they agree, or it's only in one place. So there's been a very long time since these ordinances have really been looked at as thorough as the review they've been doing right now. So start off a quick summary on 61 is the drought manager plan. Commissioner Bullard and Mueller presented a list of proposed changes. Each item was discussed with feedback from the commissioners and city staff. By consensus, the Water Commission agreed to turn over to city staff to prepare a draft version of the ordinance based on the proposed changes and all the comments received. Hope to bring this forward to you either at the next meeting or the one after that. So we're moving on that one. Ordinance 159, which is landscape and irrigation. Here, a little different, and the subcommittee essentially recommends to repeal this ordinance. But before we do that, recommend to transferring Section 2, drought tolerant grasses, and Section 3, xeriscape, to planning and zoning, to the new zoning ordinance. And then to recommend to transfer the remaining sections of 254. That way everything's in one ordinance instead. Sections 4 and 6 are currently in the draft zoning ordinance, so they'll have to be deleted from that one. I will present the Planning and Zoning Commission next week, the recommendations to move forward on that. Again, like I said, the plan is once all the new ordinances have been revised and approved by city council, both of them, then we'll come back and repeal 159. That'll clean up the ordinances. Ordinance 54, you had a preview of one little change today, but there's a lot more work to be done there, and that's where the subcommittee is going to be concentrating on next. You got a source and supply management subcommittee, which met with the city administrator and the water manager to discuss the water leases. We have 3 water leases set to expire December of this year. Subcommittee, after long discussions, felt that it's very desirable to hold on to these leases. By consensus, again, the Water Commission asked the city administrator to contact the leaseholders and report back to the Water Commission, and we'll come up with an action plan to bring back to y'all at a later date, before year end, hopefully. Next, we go on to water rates. We have 2 subcommittees, a commercial water rate subcommittee, and what they did is looked at area cities, looked around, and found that there's not really a place where they have commercial rates, but what they have, other cities have meter base rates based on the meter size. And and I don't know if you closely looked at the bids, but the price of an 1.5-inch meter and a 2-inch meter is significantly higher, up to 3 times the cost of a 3/4-inch meter. So yes, we can see how that is. So again, by consensus, the Water Commission agreed to add different base rates for meter sizes. We have roughly 9 or 10 1.5-inch and 2-inch meters, but as we develop 2252, we may have more, so it gives us more opportunities there for additional bases there, but we'll have that rate to add to the water rate study. Okay, now the water rate subcommittee has done preliminary work using the model market spreadsheet that we used last year. We have our data from the budget that was just approved this last month. So we have the budget and also the debt service. So we'll look at that. We're waiting for now October 1st, actually more like the 10th probably, to get all the water consumption for the last fiscal year that we'll use in the study. One thing we'll need to do is look at how we're going to recover how fast we want to recover the reserves funds. So we'll have to come up with a plan for that before then. So we'll be working offline for that. Again, the plan is to review the results of our study at the Water Commission meeting on October 27th and bring forward to you at the November 4th meeting. And one other thing we're doing in the side here is also trying to document the process we're doing so that this process is not dependent on 1 or 2 individuals going forward, that you can just follow a little procedure. That's going to be a little tougher to do, but we'll get that done too. Our next meeting is Tuesday, September 22nd at 6 p.m. I don't know, according to all the water leaks that Jacob has mentioned, we may be another long meeting as well. So, Mr. Mayor, I know it's a long report, but I'll turn it back to you for any questions on our activities.
Sure, thank you very much. So starting on the left side, any questions or comments for Water Commission on what you just reported on or anything at all?
No.
Sir.
I'm amazed and impressed, Jesse. I don't know how y'all do. Both cities have people, they have a whole staff that does what y'all are doing. And it costs them $100,000 a year plus, and you're doing it for free. It's amazing. You're probably doing it better than they do.
Yeah, so a couple things. Council, you heard there's a lot going on in the Water Commission, and they have really just taken multiple balls and running with them, with ordinances and processes and rates and the process to work these things to make sure that it's lasting and enduring. And I'll just tell you that it's about people that are willing to throw down, they care, and leadership, Chairman Valdez, leadership that also is willing to take this on and make sure that everybody's going in the right direction. And it's nothing less than phenomenal. You guys are killing it, and we can't thank you enough. The AMI again, the water company and Mr. Parsons particularly did a whole lot with this, but he had a whole lot of help too, and he's had a whole lot of help on a lot of these things, and we can't thank you enough. And one thing I want to highlight here for everyone is, I don't know about y'all, but have you ever picked up the ordinances and just said, I need to know if I can do something or how I need to do something? And it frustrates the daylights out of me that sometimes I have to read 3 ordinances to figure out what I can do or can't do. And sometimes they don't necessarily agree, and sometimes they don't necessarily make sense. Now, that is absolutely not an indictment of the people that wrote those ordinances, but there's a couple issues. One is that they've been written over many years, and sometimes they're in a vacuum, and sometimes when somebody's writing something, they don't necessarily pick up on the fact that there's something that relates to that somewhere else. We have never codified our ordinances, and that could happen within the next few years anyway, if we move forward with the structure of our city. But nonetheless, for the Water Commission to say, let's look at the really big picture here. And I sat and listened to discussions about this big picture on the ordinances and how they talked about, we want to make sure that people don't have to go to more than one place to read what they got to do. Or people don't have to say, well, wait a minute, the planning and zoning ordinance says this, but the water ordinance says that. And so the effort they're putting in, not just to make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed in the ordinances that we asked them to look at, but to do the macro view of this is nothing less than spectacular. And as a person, a citizen sitting reading ordinances, I can tell you, I appreciate that so much. So I've told them and the commission that, and I wanted them to make sure that y'all heard that and it was public as well. They're doing, as you said, the work of many highly paid people in other cities. But more than that, they're doing the work of highly paid people, plus they obviously really give a damn about this. And so, Chairman Velez, thank you very much.
I think I'm very fortunate to have such a great commissioners that volunteered to come forward and help. It makes our job easier too.
Yeah,
having
the work
everybody
you're
on the
doing,
same-
the work y'all are doing is certainly a testament to that, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, moving on to item number 9D, Wildlife Management. They had one meeting, and the chairman sent the report, and our city administrator has that report, and she's going to go ahead and give you the info on it.
The Wildlife Management Advisory Commission met on Monday, August 17th. The commission had the opportunity to meet the new Texas Parks and Wildlife biologist for Comal County. His name is Ben Olson. He introduced himself to the commission and stated that he was glad to help the city of Garden Ridge in any way he could. The commission discussed conducting deer counts for the year, and they scheduled 3 deer counts. Each one will be at least 5 days apart from the other, and which was Mr. Olson's recommendation. And Mr. Olson is also participating in those counts. And when the counts are completed, he will create a population summary for the city. And the commission will discuss the population summary at their next scheduled meeting on September 21st. And it's anticipated they will be bringing a recommendation to City Council next month.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
So council have our city administrator that relayed that report to you. We also have one commissioner here, and we have our ex officio here for that commission. So if you have any questions or comments, you can just make them, or if you have any questions, we can see if any of them can answer, starting on the left side.
Who's going to be participating in the counts? Is it just the wildlife biologist and a member of the Wildlife Commission? I guess I have one or two concerns about participation, when these are going to be scheduled, whether it's public information when they're going out or not.
Understand.
I would prefer it's actually not
So
public
let me
information.
say, we'll put that on the record and get you an answer, and because I don't want to put you in the spot. Do you
Right.
have an answer?
Yes, it's going to be the biologist and a member of the commission. They did not include, for COVID reasons, additional citizens. They were trying to keep it as small, a number of participants as they can. And they did discuss in that meeting various dates. I think one, there was a mishap and the biologist was here, but the commissioner was not, so they lost that date. And I'm unclear if the other dates have happened yet or not.
Yes, so they scheduled all 3 of the counts in that open meeting that was videoed. It was very specific on the dates and the times where they were going to meet. We didn't have any citizens at the meeting currently, but the biologist made it very clear that this was the time frame they needed to be conducted in. There needs to be 3 conducted, no more, no less. We didn't want 2 commissioners even riding in a car together at this time because of COVID reasons. So initially, all of the dates would have passed by now, but we had a commissioner that was unable to make the originally scheduled date, and so they're making that date up, so we have 1 more left to be done.
Does that answer your question?
That answers my question. I'm happy. I didn't know what the dates were, nor did I see a lot of squawking out in the system. And I guess just to be blunt, my concern is that our counts may get interfered with. And I'd like to actually have good quality scientific data that's not been interfered with. So it sounds like we're going to get that from this. So that's perfect.
Sir, anything?
No.
Thank you, Ms. King. Next up is 9E, Parks Committee. And we have Mr. Chamberlain here. We also have Dr. Miller here, but I think Mr. Chamberlain's going to be doing the talking. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Dr. Miller. Didn't work, did it? Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. The first item up on the agenda under the Parks Committee tonight is a special projects Eagle Scouts project for Paul Davis Park. And the Parks Committee is in favor of doing this. We're presented to the council for consideration and approval tonight, hopefully. And to make sure that you have all the right information, I'd like to make sure I bring forward the sponsor of this project from the Eagle Scouts, and that is Scout Alex Webster. He's been a scout for 5 years, and he's working towards his Eagle Scout designation. He's with Troop 828 within the city of Garden Ridge. This time, I'd like to bring up Scout Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chamberlain, for introducing me, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the council members for hearing me out.
Hey, so let me just say something. You were here last month?
Yes,
and it was during a time where when you talked, we couldn't talk to you.
Yes.
We can talk to you now. So this can be a discussion.
Okay.
So people will ask you questions, and you can relax and feel free to tell us what's going on, okay?
Okay, thank you. As said, my name is Alex Webster. I'm a junior at Canyon High School, and I've been working on this project for a long time now and really ironing out and making sure it's very good. My project is building a trellis and 2 benches for the butterfly garden at Paul Davis Park. I've been working on this project for a very long time, and as shown on screen, or was on screen, okay. No money will be needed to be donated. I'm getting the materials and everything donated from another source, and no labor will be needed to be donated. I'm getting helpers from my scout troop to come and help me with this project. That's pretty much it. Just no labor, no money. It's just for the park.
And so to be clear, Parks Committee, you're just asking for approval from the council for these projects to happen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so starting left side, questions or comments for Alex or for the Parks Committee on this project?
First of all, thank you for coming back. And I particularly like the trellis idea. I don't think anyone's ever put that forward for us. We've had benches before. So that's really going to be a nice addition. I would certainly be in favor of it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sir.
I don't have any questions for Alex. My question is more for the city attorney. I'm his project coach for this. Does that mean I cannot vote for it for approval? There's no money changing hands or anything else, but I figure I better ask the question to make sure everything is out and forward and in the open.
There's no reason for you to recuse yourself on this.
Okay.
We need to get you on mic saying that, please.
Councilman Arvidsson, there's no reason for you to recuse yourself on this project. As you mentioned, there's no conflict of interest here.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that was out in public. All right, that's all I got.
Sir?
It looks like everything's gonna be beautiful. Thank you very much.
Ma'am?
I'm excited, Alex. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Sir?
Do you know where you're going to put it?
Yes, in the corner where the butterfly garden is going to be.
Where
In
the what?
Far corner where the butterfly garden is going to be, the upcoming one.
Well, again, sorry about last time, but we're glad that you came back. We're excited about it. And I don't have any questions, but let's see if we can get the council to approve it. Can I get a motion to approve this, the trellis and 2 benches?
I move to approve the Scout project.
Place 1 with a motion. Can I get a second?
I second it.
5 for the second. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous. Alex, thank you again, and we look forward to seeing it. And congratulations on moving into the next step and becoming an Eagle. Obviously, as you well know, not too many people do that. So congratulations, and I know you're just starting school up again, so good luck with that too.
Thank you.
But, we appreciate your time. And hey, and as a bonus, you got to watch a good piece of another council meeting. So there you have it.
I do have a comment for this. Could Ms. Kane sign that right now so we can get over to Elmo area? There's a beneficiary proposal signature block.
Okay.
She's right there, he's right there, it'll take 5 seconds.
Okay. You okay with that, ma'am?
Yeah, that's fine. I am.
And then Alex needs to go home and do his homework.
He can't get a buy because
He had to get credit for
he watched
this
all
being
this
here
government
tonight.
going on. Okay, so while that's happening, I'm going to keep moving. Next up is item 9E2, which is the update from Parks. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alex, congratulations on getting something through. It's democracy at work. That's great from that area. Just give you some highlights on what's going on over the last 30 days. Before I give the highlights, though, I would like to mention the work that our Public Works team has done in the last 30 days. They've been working outside, obviously, but in temperatures 90 to even 100 degrees, and they've done a stellar job, and I just want to say, job well done. Appreciate it big time. Looking to Paul Davis Park for highlights and everything else, we continue to enhance the back section of the park. In early August, I sent an email out indicating Public Works had completed the stump grinding of nearly 300 tree stumps in the park. What I did not mention was that they went ahead and they also put 300 holes in the ground. So we have to fill those in, and they have gone in and they filled them and everything else from that side. A significant number of those tree stumps are actually on the trail that the citizens in our community walk and jog every single day. So this actually was a safety thing that we addressed and took care of as well. And after the tree stumps were ground down, the holes were filled, then Public Works went through and then actually smoothed down or carved down a trail around the park about almost a mile in length. This is following up on stuff that was done with Councilman Smith about a year ago with regards to a grant that we're looking to move forward with. The other thing that comes into play is that the stationary grills at the park near the picnic tables, they have all gone ahead and been cleaned out. They were power washed in July, but now they've gone back and scrubbed them out further and repainted them. A good job on that area. The baseball diamond continues to be worked. The infield is getting dragged on a consistent basis, removing the weeds and leveling the ground. We are looking to put top dressing in on the infield towards the end of the year. And the fence line has also been cleared to make it more attractive in the baseball area itself. We continue to develop the wildflower meadows. Actually, that's where the trellis and the bench will be going. We completed installing 20 wooden posts, fence posts, and we'll actually be showcasing the meadow when all the flowers bloom next spring. So we're really excited about that, and we'll finish that project off in the next 30 days. Park Lane, we replaced the old dog waste station, put in a new one. We hope it's bigger. It also gets rid of some of the odor that goes with it as well. And more to come over the next 30 days. We're continuing to landscape around Pavilion 3, replace the old dog waste station at Paul Davis Park, finish the fence at the Wildflower Meadow we talked about, continue working on the baseball field, and Public Works is actively reviewing the contract on the weed control in the baseball and the soccer field area. We're making good progress on that and getting more information as we go forward. We'll start to turn our focus in the next 30 days to also the pocket parks. And we're looking to start planning for upcoming December event for Christmas tree lighting and start our planning for the 2021 calendar period that comes into play. With regards to the task items that we have, we're up to 111 tasks this year that have been put forth by the Parks Committee. It was 110 last month. 39 of those have been completed. We have 52 that are now actively being worked as we go forward. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to turn it back to you for questions.
Amazing. Starting over the right side, questions or comments for Parks?
Every time you speak, I'm just amazed at the amount of work y'all have done. You're a whirlwind of activity. It's
a team effort, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It really is. Thank you.
So have any decisions been made about December tree lighting?
Now, Chair, we're going to do well, actually, we have our next meeting coming up here next Wednesday for the Parks Committee at Paul Davis Park in the morning, and we'll start brainstorming at that time. I can tell you that we will look at a Plan A and a Plan B, and then we'll, get feedback as we go forward. Plus, I want to bring it back to the city administrator and get their input as well from that area.
Thank you, great work.
Yeah, thank you. And there will be also another project in November. So normally you're used to a spring project at Paul Davis Park where we do cleanup. We felt that it would be good to actually touch our park twice a year for cleanup and focus on it. So Linda Potts will be taking lead there to work on some things with tree planting, kind of in coordination with the Texas Arbor Day. But the main thing is projects and cleaning up the park area and continue to improve on what we're doing today.
No, just to be fair to you, you are working so darn hard. I know you're out there minimum of 3 days a week yourself, and he's literally pounding posts and everything else. So this just wouldn't be happening, I'll say it again, without you. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you, appreciate it. But it's, Dr. Miller does all the heavy lifting. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Councilwoman Bauer, thank you for mentioning that and pointing it out. And I'm not done with you, but go ahead and sit down. You don't have to. The tremendous number of projects, working them pretty hard, being very, and I also appreciate how much you're working with Public Works and providing between the two organizations, providing some focus and some priorities, and so I'm throwing it your way also, Mr. Steinmetz, that really appreciate all the work you're doing with Parks Committee to make this happen. I have been spending more time out in the park. I'm kind of giving up with these 100-degree days, but my daughter loves the park, and so I plan to spend a lot of time out there. And I'm watching all this stuff develop out there, and it's pretty fun to watch all these things happen. So thanks for all that you and all the folks on the Parks Committee are doing. We really appreciate it. Okay, Volunteer Garden Ridge. We have some numbers and we have a couple things to talk about, but check in with the lead of it, and just, I think he gave me a head nod. He gave me a head nod. Let the record show he gave me a head nod, a head shake, a wave off even. But Ms. Kane, do you have the numbers?
Yes, there's 83 hours for the
ma'am.
month of August since the mic didn't work.
So 83 hours, that's one piece, that, again, in the middle of COVID. We're actually very blessed to have some people that are still able to come out and volunteer, but we understand and respect that we have a lot of volunteers are in the high-risk group, frankly. The library can definitely attest to that as well. So that has affected the the program overall, as well as individuals that we would have doing some of these projects. But we're still holding our own. But along those lines, also want to talk about one group, the Como Master Gardeners. And we have, if you haven't noticed, the Como Master Gardeners, and Nancy, you worked with them on this, so Ms. Kane, if you would, tell the council a little bit of background on this.
Okay. This is a butterfly that was designed and crafted by a blacksmith in Seguin. The money that paid for this butterfly was collected through plant sales by the group of volunteers, Master Gardeners here in Garden Ridge. They are so proud of that. It's beautiful. It's if you haven't had a chance to go out and physically look at it, please do. But a big thank you to them for seeing that beautiful piece of artwork was able to be placed in our butterfly gardens.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, and so Ms. Jan Martin and all the Como Master Gardeners really got involved in both the raising of the funds to do this, as well as making sure that this project happened, and the creation of it, the custom creation of it, and the mounting of it. And it's right outside our windows here at City Hall, and a wonderful addition, and continuing the process of them working the design of the grounds to make it an appealing, more appealing place out there. So just publicly thanking the Como Master Gardeners for all they do and continue to do, as well as making sure that this project, and it's not the only project they've done out there. If you haven't walked around there lately, yeah, they've done quite a bit. It's pretty amazing, and we're very fortunate. Any comments or questions on this? Starting left side.
Yes, Ms. Kane knows this as well. The artist's name is Sue, and she's also the blacksmith, and she has done and will continue someday to do shows around the city and so on. I met her years ago, but she also did the sign that says Gardens of Garden Ridge.
Yes.
Gardens of Garden
Yes.
Ridge, that's been there for a little while.
Yes.
But and I just think that it's beautiful work, and I think the anchoring with the stone and the placement and all that is just right.
Thanks for saying that about the sign, because I didn't put two and two together. I didn't
Yes.
realize it was the same person. Thank you.
I forgot about
Sir,
that.
anything? Sir?
Yeah, it looks like a work of art, very nice.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Kane. All right, next up is approvals, authorizations for discussion, consideration, possible action. First is item A, the COVID-19 update and how it's pertinent to Garden Ridge. So I'll go through a few of these if you haven't been able to put it all together. First of all, we okay over there?
Yes, now it's on.
The state of Texas emergency declaration was reissued on August 8th and goes for another 8 days, so you expect to see another one. And remember, this is just going to be rolling, and as long as that's in effect, ours is in effect, and as so many others are. No new executive orders or proclamations, but there are some updates and some words that are coming out of the governor's office. Now, I will freely disclose that if something happened in the last about 8 hours, I may not know about it. But aside from that, last week, the governor said that they expect further openings if the downtrend continues past Labor Day. So now he's kind of using Labor Day as one of the things. In fact, he specifically said there are 3 things that we have to get past before we start doing more relaxing and opening. The first one was the hurricane. Had to get through that. And the next one is school openings, and then the third one is Labor Day. So if we can continue to downtrend through these 3, he expects that he'll be announcing further openings. And that was last week. And then this Monday, just a matter of 2 days ago, he mentioned that he didn't intend to have any more lockdowns, despite demands from some people in the state. But since his orders in July, the numbers have continued to decline, and most importantly, hospitalizations. And he expects to provide updates next week about next steps, and that was just like I said a couple days ago. Also, he and others in the state are talking positivity rate, which dropped to 10% on Monday, the lowest in over 2 months. Hospitalizations down, positivity rate going down, and he had mentioned early on that 10% was a threshold to start talking about opening more, and so the conventional wisdom is that more statements are imminent. So, like I said, it could happen in the last 8 hours. I've been off the grid for 8 hours, but and then in the county, nothing new with the county as far as any orders. The last one was SK01, and that was all the way back July 1st. We still have our two-time a week meetings with the judge and all the mayors to discuss and see what's going on. The numbers are flattening out. We talk numbers ad nauseum. The positivity stat right now for our county is 8.526. How do you like that for a number? And you know, what does that mean? Depends on who you ask. But the one thing that's changed is the state, Comal County, and others have now gone to a positivity rate that's a rolling 7-day average. So one thing, okay, this is editorial, but if you have a stat and you don't have a lot of confidence in it, one way to robust it is to make it an average over a longer period of time. That is I learned that in statistics in school. So that's apparently what we're doing now. But the bottom line, even in the county, is remaining vigilant, complying with the law and CDC guidelines. Talk about some possible action for boat ramps and some other things that aren't here. But nothing that would affect us really, what they're talking about in the county. For us, Ordinance 227, Public Health Emergency Declaration, still in effect, as well as the only amendment we had, the RV amendment. You heard about the library, you heard about City Hall, you heard about parks and restrooms, and all of our facilities. We are still offering the Wildflower Room to organizations that normally would be using the Bluebonnet Room. And you heard about the bookings in all these places. And the requirement for them to be socially distanced still, that hasn't changed. We're still encouraging people to comply with CDC guidelines. And we up here are still doing it. When we're going to and from meetings and everything, you'll see us wearing masks. When we know that we can stay away from people, we'll take them off, as we did tonight. Also, closely associated with all that and activity in the city, the Lions, in concert with the city, did another blood drive this past weekend, August 29th, up in the Community Event Center, and it was another resounding success. Every appointment was booked 4 days ahead of time, 4 days prior. So well prior to the event, it was already booked full. Another thing that you heard about, but it's impacted significantly from the COVID issue, is the election. 3 weeks of early voting, spreading it out some, and then physically spreading it out by doing it up at the Community Event Center to ensure that we can do the social distancing. Remember, the election is on November 3rd. We expect to have a lot of people coming out for both early voting and the election day, and so heads up with that. And we're gonna push that out every place that we normally would, and ask you to talk it up as well for the early voting and where it is. Everything, all the voting is going to be in the Community Event Center. So none of it here. We could not do the social distancing and ensure the safety here that we can do up there. Any questions or comments on 10A1 or anything you've heard that I didn't mention? Right side. Okay. Moving on to 10A2, funding and expenditures, Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Act. I'll turn it over to Ms. Kane.
And I would like to ask our finance manager, Karen Ford, to update you on the financial side of the COVID-19.
She on mic?
Anyway, just to remind everyone about the COVID relief funds, which is the CRF, we had...
Go ahead, continue.
We had $226,000 allocated to the city of Garden Ridge. Of that, $45,000 has already been sent to us. They front-loaded that, so we have about $181,000 left to go out there and get. If you haven't thought much about this whole process, it's an administrative nightmare tracking 10 minutes of COVID time here, 10 minutes of COVID time there. So I was super excited to find out some information on Monday that I believe is going to simplify the process and accelerate the receipt of the $181,000 that's going to come into the city that we're entitled to. So instead of going into the nitty-gritty detail of that, I'm going to put that all into a memo and send it to you guys next week so I can get more in depth on it.
Thank you.
That's-
Starting right side, questions for our financial manager?
I couldn't hear the last part of that.
I'm going to put.
Will you yell into that little box there?
Yell into?
I could barely hear what you're saying.
Pull it a little closer to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. So this new process that I came across, I'm going to put all the information into a memo and send it out to you guys sometime next week so you can get the full detail on the way we're going to proceed to get that other $181,000 into the city.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Yeah, this, to say she was excited would be an understatement. And it's important. I mean, this is a lot of money, and a simplification of the process is also, would be an understatement to say just a simplification. So this is a tremendous opportunity for the city, and something that we really are fortunate to have Ms. Ford working this, and frankly, turning over these stones and finding this stuff. Otherwise, I don't know if we would even know about half these things. So this is great. This is really cool. So thank you very much. Ms. Kane, anything else on this?
Yes, I'd like to call on Stephen Steinmetz to report on what he's doing in relation to some touchless features for the city.
Currently, we're getting quotes from several automatic door companies for the doors in the City Hall, Library, and Community Center. We're looking to get the like HEB type of sliding doors for front of City Hall and probably at the Community Center. Might not be able to do that with the library since it's such a small confined area. We might just go with an automatic hand wave in front of that little sensor so the door opens for that. We are also we're trying out 2 different types of automatic flush valves for the toilets. We're gonna give them a try out first before finding out which one's the best fit for us, and then once we decide that, we'll order them in bulk. There's a picture of them right there. One's a top-mounted valve, and the other one's a cheaper valve that's on the right-hand side. That's a side-mounted valve. We're also looking into getting some automatic faucets, automatic paper towel dispensers, and some more soap dispensers. We're kind of looking to also get the lowest price, so FEMA will accept whatever we end up choosing. That's it.
Ma'am, anything to add?
No, sir.
Yeah, if you want to see those automatic toilet flushers, the Zern one is in the ladies' room, and the other company that I can't remember the name of it now is in the men's room. Sloan. And so we're testing them both out, but this is all COVID relief stuff. This is all in the name of making it that people don't have to touch things. So this is great. This is really good. We get to upgrade a lot of stuff, and it's all in the name of. And you think about this. This is long term. When we're past this, the theory being that even just simple flu seasons won't have as much of an impact anymore. So this is wonderful. So thank you to Ms. Kane, to Ms. Ford, and Mr. Steinmetz for all the work that you did on all this. And I guess I should say, anything else to add on any of this?
I just think the surveys must be fun. The surveys on the toilet handles must be fun.
Anything else over here, left side? Sir, anything? Ma'am? Okay. Moving on to item 10A3, action on allocating funds for Northeast Partnership. This is something that I sent you all in advance. Well, I didn't. I wrote it and asked our city administrator to send you advance information on this. The long and short of this is that the Northeast Partnership, of which we're members and I'm on the board, we said we've got some money we want to distribute equitably to cities to then distribute to some of the businesses that are being hit by the downturn and, you know, the effect on their business by COVID. So, and I gave you what our share of it was, and it's very, very fair and proportional to, I don't know if you know, but the dues that we pay are not the same. All the members are not the same. It depends on the size of your city. So we pay less than, for instance, Shirts or Kirby or that kind of thing. So we're getting the $1,250, and the simple deal is that whatever we decide, whatever y'all decide, that those funds will be drafted from Northeast Partnership directly as a check to those businesses or business. So it won't touch our coffers at all. But because we are members of the Northeast Partnership, I thought it appropriate that y'all be able to take a look at this and decide if you're okay with the recommendation I gave or if you have other thoughts or ideas. So leave it open for discussion first. Start on the right side. Any thoughts or any comments?
I think it's a great idea with these three businesses. They have really supported the city, and I think a little goodwill, even though, you know, it's $400, a little goodwill will go a long way with them. So I like the idea.
Yeah, and perhaps since it's not on the screen and it was a note that was from me, I probably should say, just for the record, what I recommend is that we take the money, the $1,250 that's available to us from Northeast Partnership, and divide it into three businesses that we know have been affected by it: Caparelli's, Figlio's, and Raptitude. Now, for the record, Figlio's and Raptitude are not specifically in our city, but they are very significant supporters of our city, and I could give you examples of where they have done things. If you've ever been to, you know, Pizza with the Police, that's where it comes from. In fact, directly to Northeast Partnership, when we've hosted Northeast Partnership, Raptitude has supported that, and they also support a lot of the charitable activities in the community. They are part of our community. They are just right outside. Now, that said, they're also not in any other city. So if you have ideas of, and good ideas of businesses that happen to be in other cities, that those cities that are in Northeast Partnership would be taking care of those businesses, or deciding not to for whatever the reason. But so Caparelli's, $450, they are in our city, and then $400 each to Figlio's and Raptitude to round out the $1,250 was my recommendation. Sorry, I should have mentioned that early on. So that said, anything else to add to your comments? Ma'am, do you have anything?
Just good recommendations.
Thank you.
Three good recommendations. I wish we had more money to give them.
Ditto. Sir. Ma'am.
And I know by your recommendation, or in your recommendation cover letter, that these will not flow through the city. They'll go directly to the organization.
Absolutely. And also reiterate in the letter that when I get the checks, when we get the checks, and they'll be drafted from NEP to these businesses specifically, we'll send out a blast to y'all when we're going to go, when I'm going to deliver these checks to these three businesses. And anybody that wants to come, please join. All right. So that said, if you would like to take action on this, get a motion to do this.
I move to approve.
Okay, I get a motion from place three to approve the $1,250 to be $450 to Caparelli's, $400 to Figlio's, and $400 to Raptitude. Can I get a second?
Second the motion.
Place five of the second. Any further discussion, questions, left side?
Yeah, one, let's try to plan this delivery about lunchtime.
So we can all go.
Okay. Further discussion on this side? Okay, so I got place three with the motion, place five the second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much, Council. Next is 10A4, possible action on matters related to COVID-19 virus if needed. This is in there, in our agenda in case there's anything that y'all are seeing that you think the city needs to act on and to bring up. So I'll ask, starting right side, anything you think we need to act on? Ma'am. Sir? No, this is about COVID-19 only. Sir? Councilman Robinson. Ma'am. Okay. Then moving on to updates, item 11, city administrator reports. Ma'am, back to you.
I'd like to call on Stephen Steinmetz to update council on our oak wilt outbreak and the status of it.
Thank you. As you can see on the map, I've updated it to probably about a 75-foot area in front of Pavilion 1 to protect those 3 really huge oak trees that are up there. It's more of a preventative than a need right now, but it's going to help in case anything were to get past the prior trench that's there, so it'll be a good idea to do that. I'm currently waiting for 2 quotes from We Love Trees and Oak Wilt Specialists of Texas. And right there's a little section right there of the trench right there. That's Pavilion 1 right there. The oak trees are kind of in this little area right there. So it's still a good distance away, but it's going to be a good extra protection. Plus it'll help maybe houses down this way too. I was getting some quotes from those 2 companies. Once I get those in, I'll get with the residents that are going to be affected and give them a breakdown of what's going to cost each one of them and how much we possibly will be helping them with our Oak Wilt Fund that we have set aside. There is a deadline to get this done to receive state help, and that deadline is November 4th, 2020, which I'm sure we'll be way ahead of that. Water lines and other utilities have been located on Sumac Cove. We'll probably have to go across 2 water services and locate a gas line, but we won't have to go across any water mains, so that's the good news about that one. We'll probably about like 100 foot of road we'll be trenching through to get to the last leg of that trench. That's all I have to report.
Great, thank you. Ma'am, anything to add?
No, sir.
Questions or comments on Oak Wilt plan, left side?
Thank you for making sure you went to protect those heritage trees at Pavilion 1. I think that's critical. Thanks.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Okay, moving on to 11B, Mayor's Projects Communication Report. We're number 2 still in the census. We've moved up though, 89.2% for the city of Garden Ridge is number 2 in Texas. Number 1 is Mountain City. They're 1% ahead of us. But we've closed the gap, and we've also moved up. Remember, it's the census lists 19,000 plus cities, and we're number 52. That's actually pretty remarkable. Number 2 in the state and 52 in the nation. And it's interesting, it depends on who you ask and what part of the website you read, but there might be a couple of weeks or close to a month left of this. Regardless, we're going to put out a little bit of blitz. And if you would, tell your friends and neighbors to do this. Let's final stretch and take it away from Mountain City. Let's see, the sign movement, keep your ear to the ground and your eyes peeled. You know, we're still working with TxDOT on all the things you've heard. So knock on wood, we don't expect in the middle of the night a backhoe to go out there and tear our sign down, but we're still keeping our eyes out for that. Keep sight of that for us, please. As you saw, because I BCC'd all of you and some staff, but I sent a re-up with the Easy Mart Crime Stoppers reward being continued for another month. And as you saw, I asked all the news outlets to consider putting this back at the top and figuring out a way to get it out. And I actually got, and no kidding, when I say all, I have a pretty good list now. It's all the TV stations, a couple of the major radio stations, the two newspapers, and I got 4 responses yesterday and 1 response today of we'll do what we can. So again, we're just going to do what we can.
I did see it on the news yesterday.
You did?
Yes, I did.
And I didn't know that. That's news to me. Where did you see it? Okay. Anybody else see anything? Yeah. That's fantastic. I didn't know that they had done that. They came back. All of them were saying we'll do what we can, but nobody's actually said we put it out there. Good. Yeah, and again, it's what what I did was I put it all in one package because I didn't want them to have to look for it again. So they got the link to the video, they got the flyer, and they got the link to the Crime Stoppers page to give all the directions on how to do tips. And you heard from the chief that we still get some tips.
And their presentation included the extra month for the Crime
Good.
Stoppers.
Very good. That's great news. You think that was channel 12? Okay. That's it for communication report. Any comments or questions on any of that stuff? Okay. Citizen contact, couple of them. We've had an issue in a neighborhood with some dogs that keep getting loose, and we found out that our public works guys, not just our animal services, but our public works guys, were helping get these dogs back where they belonged, but that took it off the radar of the cops that would be giving warnings about this. And so we finally figured out we all needed to talk about it. And to all of their credit, we did. And we determined that enough is enough, and no more warnings for these people. The long and short of this is some of the citizens have alleged that these dogs are really intimidating them, and they don't need that. It's their neighborhood, and they're walking around and getting some exercise, and they don't need dogs chasing them. So, and the dogs are just getting loose, as dogs will get loose if the owners aren't making sure it doesn't happen repeatedly. It's all happened to us. It's happened to me. It's happened to all of us, but it shouldn't happen every couple of days. So kudos particularly to Public Works, Animal Services, and to the Police Department for having this discussion, getting it raised up on the radar. And I can tell you, I'm the one that dealt with the individual that was the lead complainant, if you will. And she was very understanding and appreciative, and understood that, my emphasis to her was call 911 if you feel threatened. How about it? Just call 911. And so she was very kind. And so I haven't heard anything about it since, but we'll keep our ear to the ground with that one. Next one is we've had a few issues with garage sales in the community, and some continuing garage sales in the community that to have come to the point of being more than just an inconvenience for the neighbors of the garage sale. And we took a look at it, and it's pretty standard in many of the communities around here that you can't have a garage sale every week, and if you do, you have a business, you don't have a garage sale. I went to one of these. I didn't go to the garage sale, but I drove the neighborhood, and it was pretty packed, and I was convinced that an emergency vehicle couldn't even get through the neighborhood. But the chief went and talked to the individuals, and it's resolved, and they have no intention of doing that anymore. But to take it a step further, we are bringing this to planning and zoning because, and he's shaking his head, but we're bringing this to planning and zoning because we believe that we need to do something to provide residents with some direction, with some protection, and relief from some of this without being overly restrictive. We're not in the business of preventing people from being able to have a garage sale or a yard sale or whatever, but within reason. And also, if you were the neighbor of somebody that did it every week, you would get pretty tired of it after a while. So looking for some moderation in this, and looking to have that in the planning and zoning commission to work the planning and the zoning ordinance. So we look forward to that. And then the last one was, and again, when you see Chief, thank him, because talking to these folks, he pulled out his diplomatic hat, I would say, and you know, he found his diplomatic hat. How about that? And then he used it. Because it was a really good. It was a great discussion and a great resolution. And personally, I appreciate that you did it the way you did it. Thank you. Third thing, we had a homeowner that wrote to me and said, we think we have a problem with the water. We're gone for a while. Every time we're gone for a while, when we come back, we have discolored water. Handed that over to Mr. Parsons and his folks, and they went over and above and immediately went and tested the water, talked to them, and before I could even check with these folks to say, hey, have you talked to the water folks yet? I got a wonderful note back saying, it's us. It's something in it's either our water heater or our water softener or something that's doing it. And your folks tested our water and tested, on and on and on, and they were not just a little happy. They were elated that they could get the peace of mind that their water was good and safe, and that there was immediate response from the water company. So thank you, Mr. Parsons and your folks, for doing that and showing that no, you are always responsive and always ensuring that the water is safe, clean, and available. I appreciate that, and we all do. So those three things are things that somebody's contacted me or somebody in the city, and that our departments have been taken care of. So any questions or comments on any of those? Right side. Okay, thank you. Next up is item 12, discussion for future agenda items. Anything that you think needs to be on the future agenda, starting over on the left side?
Yes, the year 2021.
So again, does anybody have anything for future agenda items for the city council agenda, starting on the left side? Okay. Sir?
I'd like a short discussion about the truck traffic around the quarry entrance. We're going to have a quarry meeting on the 14th of this month, and I can find out a little bit more. Might be able to kill that before we have to talk about it.
Okay.
And also would like a discussion about code compliance.
Okay.
A short discussion.
And so we don't just put code compliance. Do you have a focus on what you want to talk about and what you'd like staff to be prepared with?
Just in general, what we do, who's responsible, and what we can do next year in our budget season to possibly get a code compliance officer.
Okay, got it. And the first one you mentioned, we will check with you before we go final on it and we'll make sure we do that. Anything else? Ma'am? Sir? Okay. Moving on to item 13, citizens comment period. You don't have to sign up for this. If any of the citizens out there want to say anything, please come on up to the far podium. And afterwards, please go over to the table where Ms. Spencer is right now and sign in that sheet. 2 minutes, and your name and address don't count for the 2 minutes. Make sure the mic is on, please.
Back button.
The light's on.
Testing, there
Yes,
we
it
go,
works.
yes. Jim Miller, 9910 Marie Meadow. I was concerned earlier this evening when we were talking about the sewer, and we set out bids, and I'm sure city staff and everybody put a lot of work into it. The rate of return on the bids concerned me. If you put out 12 and only 2 people submit bids, and the other one was, I think, 6, and only 1 person submitted a bid. I'm wondering if the bids were designed right or what, because if it's a system that's been used before, and the economic times being what they are, I'm wondering why more industry or companies weren't interested in pursuing some of this money. I just think it needs another look if you only get one guy or two companies that are interested in providing the services one way or the other. And I don't know, when you only get that kind of response, who are you calling out? Are you calling out the good providers, or are you calling out the bad providers, and you're left with, one person? And I really think it's something we have to get right as we develop 2252, because we only get one shot at it, one way or the other. I don't want something to be dragging on for years and years because we made a mistake in how we did the bids. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Rod Chamberlain, 8807 Cherokee Path, Garden Ridge. I'd just like to thank the council for passing the approval for the Eagle Scouts project. I know that may not mean a lot, but to Alex, I know it meant a lot to A, go through the process, and B, to see how our democracy works. And I think it's really cool that the Eagle Scouts have projects and we can partner with them as a city from that side. So I want to thank you for the support.
Thanks, sir. Don't forget to sign up over on your left. Anyone else?
Ken Kniper, 8891 Shanetal Road. It appears that George Ranch survived to the first home junior varsity football game on Friday. The freshmen played during daylight hours. The JV game concluded about 9 o'clock or 9:10. I contacted two of my residents in George Ranch. Neither one have kids in the school. One were in their front yard during this time frame, and they didn't hear anything. The other person I contacted, they didn't have kids. They were sitting on their back porch, and he and his wife listened, and they said it was a pleasant sound. I asked about light bleed. There was none. So George Ranch was not lit up from the football stadium. As I attended that game, you were reminded multiple times on the PA to wear your mask. I wish I could say that there was total compliance, but it seems like the 40-year-olds and some of the older group don't understand what it means to wear a face covering, or they just do not wish to comply. But they tried. I think that being there, I looked at to the south, and the light did not go past the school property. The light bleed did not go over. It stayed within their property lines pretty much. I looked to the south and didn't go to the first row of cars parked against the curb behind the stadium. The sound does not appear to be overly loud, so I think the school district did deliver on what they promised they would do. I hope that people will attend. The number of tickets sold are very few. That's limited. Every other row is marked off. You can't sit there. The next home game is this
right, sir.
Friday. Thank
Thanks
you.
for your time. Anyone else? Going once, twice, three times. And we'll close out the citizen comment period. Move on to item 14, reports, comments from mayor, city council members on the things that are listed on the agenda, starting over on the left side. Anything? Sir?
I almost stole my thunder, but the JV team won the first ever football game played in Davenport Stadium. Many more to come.
Sir? Ma'am? Sir? Okay. Moving on to item 15, executive session. City council recess this open meeting, reconvene in executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551071, consultation with attorney. Number one, seek legal advice in connection with deliberating the purchase, lease, exchange, or value of real property regarding related negotiations for city building projects and utility projects. Number two, I'm going to strike. We are not going to discuss number two at all. So it is just number one. And we are going to recess at 8:49 and reconvene at 9? Good? That work for you? Plan to reconvene in here, unfortunately. We're throwing people out, but we can't social distance in our executive conference room, so we have to do it in here. We'll reconvene at 9 o'clock. So that said, we are recessed. Oh, I don't. Wow. Time is 9:29, and I am now reconvening from the executive session into the regular session for Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. Moving on now from item 15 to 16 business items, and see if any council has any action to take as a result of our executive session. Left side?
No, sir.
Right side? Having none, moving on to item 17, adjournment. Could I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Got place 3 with a motion to adjourn. Could I get a second? Place 1 with a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous. We are adjourned at 9:30 PM. Thank you very much. Yeah.